Wonderful. And Montana, you take it away.
Thank you so much, Karen. And thank you to my colleagues Aaliyah and Nicole for joining me today. They are a wealth of knowledge in their respective areas, and we look forward to answering your questions at the end. Yeah, we're going to chat about housing and dining plans and what your options are, how to choose. So I wanted to open up by giving you a beautiful visual of our Peterborough campus, that's Simon's campus. And we also have the fabulous Durham GTA campus in Oshawa as well, which has been newly renovated. And it's a fabulous option a little bit closer to Toronto, if that is what your program, where your program is based out of, or if you would like to be closer to Toronto. And the best news of all is that first year residents, as long as you've never been to Trent University before, you are guaranteed residence as long as you apply by June 4th, 2025. So applications are open now, and we're going to walk you through a little bit more on how to make those choices. I also want to recognize that last night, you may have attended it, you may not have, but we put on a full live stream about how to select your roommates and how to select your space. And I have just dropped that YouTube video in the chat. You might want to look at it before you prepare your application. Also, we recognize that you are coming to Trent in your upper years. And if you want to continue living in residence throughout your studies, we have upper year suites available. So, residence in the past has been known as a place where you start, but you could head off campus. That's definitely still an option. But if you really love your Trent experience, there is an opportunity for you to continue living here and staying connected to where you're studying. Students ask all the time, and parents, why do you choose residence? Well, residence is the primary space of community at Trent. It's how you stay close to your studies. It's extremely convenient to be just a walk away from your classes. Instead of spending time commuting, you can spend that extra time studying, sleeping or resting, getting to know people, making lasting connections. If you're working, that's extra time that you can use to advance your career and your networks. And of course, because it's the safest, most welcoming place to live and study, especially when you're starting off in a new town and looking to find your home base. And we have a variety of options for you as well. So in Peterborough, we have the beautiful Champlain College, Zosky College, Otonabee College, Lady Eaton College, as well as Trail College, which is a collection of gorgeous historic buildings that are closer to downtown. A lot of folks like being closer to downtown Peterborough. It's still just a 10-minute bus ride to the main campus, but some people like that smaller feel and closer to the life that is the downtown. We also have college annexes in Peterborough. These are kind of townhome style apartments that are just across the street from campus, just a walk away. And whether you are pursuing your undergrad or going into your upper years, the annexes are a great option for you. And I was recently told by some consultants that had toured the annexes that they're so large, they cannot believe how large those spaces are, and that they don't think that residences would ever be built that large again. So you're getting a good bang for your buck down at the annexes if that's something you're interested in. Um, and we also have the beautifully renovated Durham GTA residence as well, which is located just on top of the building where you're going to do all your studying. Really convenient, especially in Toronto, where the commute can be, um, it can be a bit of a commute. Let's say it that way. And what makes the colleges special? Each of them have unique architecture. Each school of study is based out of one of the colleges. So That's sometimes a way that people pick where they like to live, based on this. Like, for example, if you're going into education or nursing, that's based out of Autonomy. The business school where I come out of is based out of Zosky. But you're going to be studying all over the place. You're going to have classes all over campus. And that's why all students are welcome at all of the colleges. You just have to pick one to live in. And each has their own special history and traditions. As you can see here, these folks are wearing scarves from their scarving ceremony. I know Champlain has their own traditions around the quad, so to speak, and spending their time on the beautiful river. So I definitely encourage you to check out our social media and check out our web pages because you're gonna be able to see content of tours and images and photos of those rooms and get a better sense of which college you're really interested in staying in. The cool thing about choosing residence is that you are signing one contract with one trusted partner. This includes your dining plan, your space comes furnished, laundry is included. You just have to bring your own soap. Wi-Fi is included. We have fun and educational programming year round to make sure that you're getting out of your space, you're getting out of your studies and you're meeting people and you're having fun and taking all advantages of what being a university student has to offer. And we have 24/7 support and security. These are all things that a landlord can't really provide for you in the way that residents can. So that's why we always encourage folks to consider residence if that is an option for you. And like I mentioned before, the choice really is yours. The application process is first come, first serve. So depending on when you apply will determine how much selection you have of the resident spaces, kind of like choosing an airline ticket or a concert ticket. Um, you'll be able to see all of the options available to you based on when you apply. So definitely, if you're interested in residence, apply as soon as you can before that deadline to get the most variety. And like I said before, you can choose your room and you can choose your roommates. Even if you are living in one of those apartments, you get to choose the folks that live with you there. Um, and I dropped that link again from the live stream last night explaining exactly how to do that. We walk you through the portal. You'll be able to actually see what that process looks like. And we're happy to answer any questions in regard to that as well today. So, more about your options. We offer traditional single and double spaces. These are kind of like your traditional dorm experience. It's a room with communal washrooms and social spaces within a community. Uh, I say that there's communal washrooms and social spaces, but you're always going to have an opportunity to have your privacy in a washroom as well. These are located in Champlain, Lady Eaton, Otonabee, Trail College downtown, and in Durham GTA. And I also want to note that there are a limited number of value options available as well in Otonabee and Champlain. These value spaces, they might be a little bit smaller, or if you're choosing a double, there might be a bunk bed. These are a great option for folks that are prioritizing budget while studying with us. We also have premium singles. A lot of folks really like these spaces because there is a room with a double bed and you share your washroom with only one other neighbor, and you get to choose that neighbor. So picture two rooms that are connected by a washroom. That's your premium single. And those are available in Zosky in Peterborough. We also have premium single and double suites in those annexes that I was speaking about. So this is a room within an apartment that is shared with 4 to 6 other students. Perks from this area, you get a little bit more independence. There's a reduced dining plan because you're sharing a space with that big kitchen and you can cook meals with the folks that you live with. There's in-suite laundry. The kitchen has a dishwasher, which I think is pretty cool. and large living spaces as well. So those are in the annexes, and that's an option for your undergrad, and it's an option for graduates and upper year students as well. A little bit more about how the application is set up. When you apply for residence, you will be asked to submit a $75 non-refundable application fee. We believe that's a kind of a guarantee that you're going to get residence by June 4th, right? Like no landlord is going to guarantee you a space, and it might take a bit of time to link up with a landlord. So, $75 fee, a $500 deposit that reserves your space in your self-selection as well. And that $500 is not in addition to the prices that you see on the website. That's just a little bit of an upfront ask to finalize your application. Residence in total is billed at the beginning of each of your terms, and your dining plan is billed at the beginning of your first term because we want to make sure that you have all the resources you need to eat and feel sustained throughout your studies. A little bit more about the perks of residence. So we have Residence Life Dons. These are upper year students, student staff that live on site, and they build community and safety, and they're on duty 7 days a week. There are kind of weekly meetings that you can touch base with your community, make sure that you are up to date on what's going on, get invited to things. I know recently one of the Dons had everybody go to like the local bowling alley and have a bit of a party there before exams. Um, when the Dons are not working, we have after hours support associates. These are professional staff members that focus on maintaining safety and security 7 days a week during the evenings. And they're based out of our service centers. Our resident service centers are kind of like a hotel concierge where you would go to get assistance with lockouts, where you'd pick up your mail and packages. If you had a maintenance concern, that's one way to get in touch with us to make that sure that's fixed quickly. Something else a landlord might not do too quickly. And resident service centers are open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. So up pretty late. That being said, if you're locked out in the middle of the night, we have support for you for that as well. And Nicole will get more into it, but we have off-campus housing support as well. So whether residence is not an option for you in this time, or you are considering off-campus in your upper years, we can help you find housing within the community and teach you the best way to connect with landlords and understand your rights and responsibilities as a tenant in Ontario. We accommodate accessibility and unique needs concerns in residents as well. So if you have a religious or a medical concern that we should really know about, you can submit your documentation. I know it says that there's a deadline here. That's just to ensure that you're going to be a part of the standard self-selection process, so to speak. But if you were, say, joining a sport and you twisted your ankle or something, and now it's really hard for you to get up the stairs in the middle of the semester, that's definitely something you can reach out with us about. And Aaliyah specifically can work with you to find a space that's going to better meet your needs while you're experiencing that. Residence is gender inclusive. So this is an important one. Students are automatically enrolled in same gender housing, but you can opt in to any gender housing as well, meaning that your suite or your roommates will be of any gender. And it's important to note, you get to select the gender of the folks that you live with if you're staying in a double or if you're staying in one of these apartment style suites. But all communities have all genders. There's one specific space if you're really adamant about, for example, if you really want to be in a female only space, we have K Tower in Champlain that has limited space for female only. That's why it's really important to apply as soon as you know you're interested, so you have the best variety to choose from while you're staying with us. Proof of residence is something that we can provide as well. You just have to request it through the My Trent portal under the supports tab. We can help you out with that. And to put Aaliyah on the spot, no pressure, I always like to promote that you can work with us. We hire over 100 students every year. Whether you're really extroverted and you like building community, or you're very analytical and you're good at drafting reports, we hire all types of different people. You could be a residence life John, service center assistant, facilities assistant, residence life and education assistants. And just to tell a little bit of Aaliyah's story on her behalf, she started as a student staff and now she's a pro staff working with us and presenting to you. A little bit on dining plans because if you're staying in residence, you definitely get a dining plan. These operate on a declining balance. So, kind of like a gift card, it is loaded onto your student card. You would go up to the dining hall, order your food, and at the payment station, you would just tap your card, and the value of that meal is taken off your entire meal plan. They're tax exempt, so they're a little bit better value than they look. And the remaining balance carries over throughout your Trent studies. So if you don't use all of your dining plan in your first year, you can hit up Starbucks in your next year using your dining plan. And it works at any on-campus food service location. So that's what I said. Even if you're living in Lady Eaton, you don't have to just be eating at Lady Eaton. There are a variety of spaces you can eat across campus, and we encourage you to try them all. Trent Cash is another thing that you can place on your student card as well. It's a separate campus-wide currency from your dining plan. And you have off-campus options as well. There's a few folks downtown. I think my favorite cafe downtown still does Trent Cash. So it's a good one for parents to gift you as well in the middle of the term if you're hoping for something special. You can get your books that way. You can use the vending machines on campus. We are a cashless campus, so this is a really great option, especially if you don't want to do the whole credit card thing, you know? Nicole, did you want to talk about off-campus housing?
Course. Thanks, Montana. And Montana has already mentioned this. I mean, we always encourage our students, especially if they're new to Canada, Ontario, Peterborough, that, our residence is your best option when you're coming to study at Trent. But we also do understand that, sometimes it's not feasible for everyone. So off-campus housing is your only other option. So to begin your search, we use websites such as Places for Students or Spaces Shared. Places for Students is where third-party landlords post their listings on this website for you to rent from. Spaces Shared is where you would rent a room in a home with a community member. Okay, so you would share common spaces with them, such as kitchen and washroom. And the average price for both of these options are somewhere between $700 and $900. Some additional things to just consider are what is included in that rent. As exchange students or study abroad students, you're probably not going to want to come and have to purchase a whole new bedroom set. So, if you want your room furnished, you're probably looking at the higher end of that budget. So, is furnishings included? Is your heat, your hydro, your water, Wi-Fi, all of those things included in the rent? Accessibility to campus. So the average bus ride for our students to campus is between 20 and 30 minutes. And as undergraduate students, you do pay for a bus pass in your ancillary fees. But just to know that, there is that accessibility to campus. Personal safety and security. Montana had said, residents or on campus has 24-hour security. Whereas when you're living out in the community, there's not that security. Trent does own a couple of homes at our downtown location at Trail College. There are some vacancies there for next year, where you sort of also get the both off-campus experience, but with Trent still as your landlord. As well as roommate agreements. So, I mean, coming from a new country, you don't know who you're going to live with. Maybe you don't get along with them the best, or something comes up that, you're just not happy with your living situation. With residents, we have a room transfer. We have a time in the fall and a time in the winter that you can do a room transfer or apply for a room transfer. Living off campus, we don't have that option. So we do encourage you to always sign and discuss roommate agreements. So some things to consider before and during your search: the type of living that you want to live in. I forget the exact number that Karen had mentioned that are coming, but the numbers are really good. So, maybe you wanted to get together and see if a few of you wanted to rent a full house together. Do take into consideration that when you live off campus, you are signing what we call a legally binding agreement with our Ontario government. It's called the Residential Tenancies Act. And often they are 12-month leases. So understanding that, you may be here for only 4 or 8 months at a time, do consider that you're signing that 12-month lease. So the type of living that you want to live in: full house, a single apartment. A lot of this will be determined by what your budget is. If you have roommates that you want to already rent with, or if you're just going to take a room in a home and meet your roommates when you arrive. Amenities and utilities. So again, that can be included in that furnishings. You want your room already furnished for when you arrive. Accessibility to campus or transportation. So making sure that it's located on the bus route. Trent is located on the outskirts of the city. Okay, so there is some space around us where the city bus does not travel. So yes, as I mentioned, okay, beginning your search on some of those platforms. Even if you haven't decided whether you want residence or off campus, take a look at the website, learn more about residence, explore the website, and then look on places for students. And that way you can just sort of, do your own research. Services and support that off-campus provides to our students is guidance during your search and education on rental scams, especially. Mediation services. This can be mediation between roommates or communication with landlords. The Residential Tenancies Act. So if you come and you sign a lease, as I had mentioned, it's a legally binding agreement. You want to know what you're actually signing. It can be a very long, boring document, but we can sort of help guide you so that way you can better understand it. Community resources. Legal supports in the community is one partnership that we have for our students that live off campus. So you have decided to rent off campus. You need to now move forward. So connecting with landlords is your first step. Reviewing that places for students, reaching out to landlords by introducing yourself, explaining that you are a Trent student coming in your 3rd year. At no point do you need to say that you are an international student, but you can say that you're in the study abroad program. Absolutely. You will set up a virtual meeting with the landlord to view the property. Please never sign a lease or agree to a tenancy before viewing the property. I know you can't view it in person, but you can connect with our office to see if we have somebody that is able to view it on your behalf. or through a WhatsApp call. Prepare documents. So references, a guarantor. A guarantor is somebody that is a US or Canadian citizen that will pay your rent on your behalf if you fall short. Many landlords do want this. Payment details. I've been in this position for quite a few years, and I still don't know how to send money internationally. So, arranging that with your bank, at least knowing how to do it. So when the time comes, you're able to send the money. And then finalize the agreement. So be prepared to sign a lease and send the deposit, which is your last month's rent. Anything beyond that when signing a lease is illegal. So challenges, there are some challenges, especially for students searching off campus or living off campus. So scamming, we do see both our domestic and international students encounter scams through, whether it could be through employment or renting, housing scams, roommate conflicts, and unfortunately, as a third party landlord that owns the property, it's hard for us to, get you out of any agreements if you do have some roommate conflicts. Transportation to campus, you're not able to just wake up and walk to class. You do need to factor in that time to transport to campus. Repairs required to the home. So, making sure that the repairs are done in a timely manner. But again, we can only support in this and not enforce, and any legal support if needed. Required documentation. That guarantor is a big one for some of our international students. If they don't have a family or a friend that has a credit score in the US or Canada, sometimes that can be a determining factor for landlords renting to students. Requesting like illegal deposits. So as I had mentioned, when you sign a lease, the only thing that you are required to pay at that time is a deposit, which is your last month's rent. Some might request a first month's at the same time, which is fine, but something such as a damage deposit or a rental application deposit, they are illegal. As well as labor or illegal acts for housing. So if you live with a community member, so you have a room in a home, but you share a kitchen or a washroom with the person that owns the home, sometimes they will provide a discounted rent on behalf of you helping them out around the house. And that's great, right? You both benefit. But if they're not providing a discounted rent or it's not an agreement that you are happy with, just be careful about any labor or illegal acts for housing. Scarcity. So, I mean, unfortunately, the pandemic did a number on housing in Canada. And so please be aware of, affordable housing. It has increased over the past few years, as well as if you see a place for rent and it's only $600 for a room, I often say you pay for what you get, okay? I understand how, as a student, things are very expensive. I'm not saying that they're not, but just know that, a room that's $800 or $1,000 compared to a $600 room, okay, you are going to pay for what you get. It might not be a great home. It might be in a poor neighborhood. The landlord might be a bit crummy. Just some things to consider. Again, that is why please don't hesitate to ever reach out to our office so that way we can support during your search. So if you do live with a community member, you are exempt from that Residential Tenancies Act and you are considered a guest in their home. And if there ever becomes an issue, they can ask you to leave at any time, as well as any units that were built or converted into rentals after November 15th, 2018. They have no rent control, so they can increase the rent whenever they want on you. Again, you're only here for 4 months, 8 months. Hopefully you won't really be affected by that specifically. And then just know your rights and responsibilities. And I'm probably not going to go too far into this. I have touched on it already slightly, but if you do decide to rent off campus and you sign a lease with landlords, again, make sure that you just reach out to our office. We can go over what you're signing, making sure that the lease is legal, all of that. Great, thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Nicole. Lots of information there. Choosing a place to live off campus is a very big decision. That's why we recommend, if you can, select residence. One signature, one trusted contract throughout your education. Some important dates. So we already opened the application, of course. June 4th is that residence guarantee for first year undergraduate and international students. Submit your residence application by June 4th, and you definitely have a space to live. And you don't have to worry about coordinating all of that while trying to get your foot in the door in your new town, and you can keep your studies as your focus. June 20th is our 50% residence deposit refund deadline. So if for any reason you submit an application and you are deciding to no longer attend, or you found a space off campus that you really like, you can apply to have half of that deposit refunded back to you. July 2nd to 8th is the roommate matching window where you can go on the housing portal, share a little bit of information about yourself, and get matched up with people who might be a good fit for you to live with. Again, I dropped that link to the YouTube video in the chat. July 16th to 23rd is your self-selection period where you'll get an email from us. I'll say, hey there, Tom, July 18th from 3 p.m. to 3:10 p.m. That's when you can select your space to live. And that's a small window, right? So do your research ahead of time and it'll be smooth sailing once you get to that moment. This is another way to look at the application timeline. So we're kind of hanging out over here leading into the summer. Check your email. That's how you're going to get all of the information to make the decisions that you'll need to make. We say in residence, the choice is yours. You do have a lot of control over your outcomes with residence. And if you check your emails and follow the steps, then you'll be able to get mostly what you want. And in Canada, we have the first week of September. It's called Labor Day weekend. So on August 31st, the very last day of August, we have move-in, and our staff will be there with our shining faces. I'm very excited to welcome you to campus. So we're going to have a whole ton of information on move-in coming up within the coming months. Maybe a live stream, kind of like this one, at the very least, a YouTube video going in depth, and definitely information on the website and through email. A little last minute tip about accessing the portal. It can be accessed through MyTrent. So as long as you have a Trent email address, you're good to go. Check the support tab in the top right menu. Click on the student housing icon on the left side menu, and then you will get to the housing services portal where you'll see this screen. You can click residence application and start or continue your application. Again, more details on that and a perfectly done walkthrough, I'll say, by our colleagues in the chat. This is the QR code that you can use to get right to the page for more information on how to apply. Our contact information is down below. We're pretty responsive over email, and we're really responsive over phone during working hours. Definitely check out our social media for updates, and we have tours. Students have posted their own tours of rooms, so you can see what it really feels like to be a student here. And you can check out food services as well. So we look really forward to welcoming you. And if you have any questions, this is the time. I can give it back to Karen if you like.
Wonderful. And thank you both so much for that phenomenal presentation. As they've indicated, and I can echo, Our housing here at Trent is such a phenomenal resource for all of our study abroad students. And also, you really enhance the experience for our domestic students as well. And so, we really do love to have you in housing. I am going to make a few important clarifications just so all of the folks on the call and who get the webinar know. All of you will actually be based at our Peterborough campus. So, you saw that beautiful option down in Durham. Not for you this time, even though it's a fabulous location. Um, we'll get into course selection in another webinar, but you'll also always want to make sure that all of your courses land you on campus in Peterborough. Also, for all of our students who are coming for just a semester, and we'll have Aaliyah take the mic to clarify this in a moment as well. Because you'll be here for just a 4-month term as opposed to a year long, we're going to be situating you in housing a little bit just to make it the best fit for all of our exchange students and to ensure that the winter cohort can come into some excellent housing. And as these two said, they are an absolutely phenomenal resource, and this is your time to ask them anything. But Aaliyah, just for our fall only students, can I get you to take the mic and just clarify for them how that will look?
Yes, no problem. So essentially, we would ask that you just submit a residence application. My hope is that whenever all of you guys have confirmed that you're coming to Trent, I will receive a list from Study Abroad just so that I could go through the process of assigning rooms to all of you individuals here. Once I've gone through that process, you will get notification pertaining to your residence contract and additional details about your room assignment. And then we will be able to coordinate with our facilities team just to make sure those rooms are ready and that we have a way that the keys will be organized for you all to pick up whenever you come on campus and be able to move into your rooms.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Aaliyah. Another important clarification for you all as study abroad students is that you'll actually be coming a day earlier than our traditional move-in date for our domestic students. And that's because we pick you up at the airport a day earlier, and then we have our international orientation on the traditional move-in date for everyone. So if you were hearing that August 31st and being like, uh-oh, what am I doing? Where am I sleeping for the 30th? We do actually give you your access to your residence the day before. So you won't have all of the flurry of the move-in, but we'll have immediate access to your residence upon arrival from the airport. Trinity, you are so experienced in this as well. Are there any clarifications that you wanted to make? And I'm sorry, I haven't spotlighted her yet, so I'll do that.
I don't think so. I think it was explained pretty well. I just want to kind of emphasize how important it is to pick the place that is good for you. And recommending on campus just because everything is just right there. And we've had great responses from previous exchange students, and they highly recommend on campus as well, just because it's so much easier. And it's easier to make friends as well, especially when you're always on campus and you're always close to events or everything that's happening. So yeah, that's probably what I can say.
Fantastic. And one other important clarification, this just brings this to mind because we just sent out our winter cohort of students. For folks who do have meal plans, just to ensure that you spend all of those food dollars while you're here. Because you won't be on here for future years, for our domestic students, it will carry over year to year. For those of you who are here for just the 4 months or for the full year, you do need to spend all of those dollars before you go home. You can also treat yourself to some Starbucks right at the end of your semester, but you won't be able to carry that that balance forward. So really availing of the fantastic meal opportunities. And Montana, I think I know the cafe you were referring to downtown for yeah, for lots of like excellent food options, not just on campus, but a few in downtown Peterborough as well. Nicole, one question that came up in our email and a question for you if folks have a significant other or partner that they know will be visiting for extended time, what housing options are available to them?
Yeah, great question, Karen. Thank you. Um, we will know better, possibly next week or the week after, if we have availability in our family housing. We have a set number that are coming available for next September, and we have just that many people on the wait list. So if everyone off the wait list takes an apartment, there won't be anything available on campus. But I will know that better Aaliyah will know that better in a couple of weeks. What I will say is you cannot rent a place off campus, like a room in a home with other people, and then have a partner come for extended periods of time. So you can legally, you can have your partner come and stay with you in a rental property off campus if you are renting from a third party landlord. Okay. You are allowed to bring in roommates or you're allowed to bring in guests. The issue is that it could create roommate conflicts. Okay. So there's that you need to make sure that you're not creating those roommate conflicts between you and your roommates, as well as if you live with a community member. We actually just had this recently. We had an international student who lived with a community member. Everything was going great. And they were like, okay, my partner's going to come and visit for 2 weeks. And something just clicked, and the homeowner was not happy about that and asked the student to leave with very short notice, a couple of days' notice to leave because they didn't want the partner coming to stay with them. So just be careful with that. If you have a partner that's going to come and stay, your best option would be a 1-bedroom apartment or a bachelor pad or something. And the pricing for that is you're looking around $1,500. Sorry. Long rant. I hope that helped.
Nicole, that is fabulous, and it's such important information. I know when I was on my study abroad, I had my partner visit, but I also had my own apartment by that point, so I was no longer in my family stay because we had initial family stays, and then we were able to choose our own accommodation. Nicole, I noticed you had put a few links. Are there family stay options that students should be considering?
That's a great question, Karen, and I will be completely honest with you. So it's homestay that we call it in Ontario. And I know that our English as a second language often like uses anything that's available for those students. So I have always just allowed that to happen and not overstepped, because a student to me is a student and we all need housing. So, that you definitely could look into homestay as an option. But I just know that our English as a second language within Trent, a lot of those students stay in there and sort of use it to full capacity.
Wonderful. So this is a very full buffet of options for you all to be considering, and we recognize that. We're really grateful for your attention, and we also want to, and this is the perfect time with all of our experts on the call, to ask if any of you have any questions. Just like Zach has just done, you can toss them in the chat and I'll read them out loud. And then I'll allow whoever is best equipped to answer them, probably not me, to answer our housing Ask Me Anything. And so Zach is saying, I was wondering if there are any other students from the UK taking part in the exchange this year. If so, would you be able to ask if any of them might be open to connecting? I think it could be really helpful to chat with others who are preparing for the same move. Okay, this is a me question. And fortunately, we have about 30 students who are going to be joining us this year, about 12 of them who are just for the fall, and the rest who are full year. And we are actually exploring the best way to have students connect. I know for our outbound students, we've started a WhatsApp group, and we're going to look at something similar for our inbound students now that all of you have just gotten your letters of acceptance. to Trent. So please stay tuned for that. I think it is really wonderful to have students who are in a similar circumstance be connecting in advance. And then, as Nicole suggested, if there is an appeal to looking at doing in the community rental opportunity, it can be nice to kind of communicate in advance. And also, Nicole, thank you so much for emphasizing the importance of ensuring that you have someone's eyes, whether it's your eyes over a WhatsApp call or whether it's directly someone in the community looking at those housing options. I have heard from international students that they can get themselves into precarious situations without having the opportunity, and I know that all of you don't have the opportunity necessarily in advance to be eyes on those rental opportunities. And Zach, thank you so much for that question. That's a fantastic idea. Do we have other questions from the floor? Folks curious for housing? I see Hannah here, and I'm just going to read your question. As an autumn-only student, do I need to apply for accommodation still? I don't have a Trent email yet, so I'm not sure I can log on. So the first part's mine, and then the second part I'll leave to Aaliyah. But so the first part, with your letter of acceptance, you are now a Trent student with access to My Trent. In order to find your email, all that you'll need to do is actually put in Outlook into that search bar, and you'll be able to find where your email access is. We do already have folks who have started their housing applications, but Aaliyah, can you explain to them a little bit more what that application process looks like?
Yes, no problem. So whenever you're able to sign into your MyTrend portal and get access to that, you'll be able to access the housing services portal. Within the portal, it would show you multiple applications, but like Karen said, all of you who are coming in the exchange program will be staying in Peterborough. So I would just advise you to apply for the Peterborough academic year 2025-2026 application. Within the application, it just would ask you generalized questions about yourself, and there will be a portion which will ask you if you're fall only. If you're fully aware that you're coming here just for the fall term, you can indicate in the application that you're just fall only. And if you have any issues with the application, maybe you clicked the wrong one, maybe you paid for the wrong one, feel free to reach out to residents at trentu.ca as you'll be able to follow up and troubleshoot for you.
Wonderful, and thank you so much for that question, Hannah. We have had feedback as our students are getting their letters of acceptance from them saying, oh, how do I access these different aspects? I did go to IT yesterday and get their cheat sheet, so I'm actually going to be sending that out today, just in case anyone is having some trouble navigating the My Trent, as I was when I first started with it. So thank you for that. And just following up for Hannah and Zach, did that answer both of your questions? Feel free to give me a thumbs up in the chat just to make sure that that you felt like your questions were answered. And for the rest of you on the call, please feel very free to jump in with questions. Oh, thanks, Zach. And oh, wonderful. I've got a question here from Leon. When I move out of the dorm for winter break, do I have to take all of my belongings with me, or is it possible to leave some of them there? So during that winter closure between semesters, could housing explain what that looks like?
Yes, sure. It all depends on what the students' academic and residence plans are like. If you're coming for fall only, I would suspect that you will be leaving in December. But if you're staying for the entire academic year, I recommend that you could indicate that you require winter break stay within your residence application so that we ensure that we assign you a room that would accommodate you for a winter break as well. If you choose not to, you are able to leave your items within the room. The residents will be closed, so ensure that you're not leaving anything important just in case you need to come back and see. But yeah, you could leave your items behind. Just lock your door. You could take your keys with you. If you go and you come back, you'll be able to have access to your room again whenever the January term opens up.
That's wonderful, Aaliyah. Thank you so much. And for students who are staying with us for the entire academic year, we have found that often students will take that opportunity. Some will go all the way back home, but a lot will choose the opportunity to travel within Canada. Folks will know that our distances are greater within Canada than a lot of the places where folks are living. And so having a few weeks to get to different areas in Canada can be a real benefit of having that winter break. I'm just looking into the chat and actually this is something that's come up for a few of our students, and I'm not sure if anyone on the call will be able to address it, but there are some who are they've accessed My Trent. Everything's working except being able to apply to the housing portal. Um, I'm sure you've addressed this with other students. So does anyone have advice who's on the call?
If you're having any issues with that, please feel free to send us an email. I am already aware of one student who are trying to assist in accessing the housing portal. But if there's anybody else on this call that are having the same issues, please feel free to email us. Don't panic. The deadline for applying is June 4th. So we have enough time to try to figure it out and try to see what the issue would be with your application. My suspicion is just something technical and the way the information is being transferred over from the registrar's office. So once we've gotten that sorted, you will be able to complete your application. So just feel free to email us so that we can assist.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Aaliyah. And just to reassure folks on the call, if there are ever technical issues, we have the enormous benefit of being a fairly small shop. So with folks who were like, we're not sure why something isn't quite working, I will often wander over to IT with my laptop and can get immediate clarification on why something might not be working. One thing that we have noticed with IT, and I love that someone sent me a screenshot. They were like, "Oh, I think they're using Safari. Safari doesn't work with everything." So using Chrome, for example, might resolve some of the issues that folks are having. And thank you so much, Jade, identifying that Jade is having the same issue with that residence portal. Again, do switch servers is kind of the very first line of resolution. But again, if that's not working, I'll go in, and sometimes it can even be with admissions if something's just been tweaked a little bit. But I do know that everyone has their letter of acceptance and is a fully registered student now. So rest assured we are in process here. Oh, Zach, great question. He is asking, what is the difference between hydro and water bills? Fair question.
Yeah. So a hydro bill, to my knowledge, is a water bill. Utilities can be interesting depending on how they're connected. Sometimes you might pay your electric separately from your heat. Sometimes it's all in harmony. It really depends on where you're staying and what kind of heat and energy sources they're using. And with residents, you
I
don't
can
have to
even
worry about
further
any of that.
clarify this one too.
Yeah.
So a lot of our electricity in Canada is produced, it's as hydroelectricity. So sometimes we call it a hydro bill. That's your electric. And then water is actually a separate bill. We really do not pay very much for water in Canada. We're a very water-rich country, and our water bills tend to be very low. Our electric, on the other hand, um, I can't even guess. Maybe someone on the call can tell me what their electric bills are for
It
heating and
Yeah,
housing.
it really depends, Karen. Like I've stayed in an electric baseboard heated apartment where I was paying like quite literally like between 250 and $400 for a whole apartment, small. But I'm in a home now, an apartment now that has like radiated heat from a really old school radiator, and I'm paying like $40. So that's a big thing to consider when you're doing your off-campus. How is the place heated, especially in the winter, because it can impact your bills.
Hmm. And I love Nicole's clarification in the chat as well that because it could also be heated by natural gas, it wouldn't be and some folks will actually include it in their listings, but it wouldn't be an inappropriate question just to ask what are the average electric and water bills because you will want to know that if you are paying utilities it and my gosh, it's been a while since I've rented. So, Nicole, you can probably clarify what the language in the listing will be. Is it like utilities included or utilities extra? Is
Yeah,
often
there's a list that will say either the expense, heat, hydro, water is covered by the student or by the tenant or by the landlord. And definitely those are questions to ask. Make sure you ask, what is the heat bill? What is the hydro bill? If the landlord doesn't know and isn't inclined to find out for you, I would consider that a red flag. Even if the tenants are currently paying the bill, so the landlord doesn't actually know what they're paying, there's no reason why they can't reach out to the tenant and say, hey, what is your heat bill? What is your hydro bill on average? So if they just say, no, I don't know, consider a red flag.
absolutely. And as Montana was saying, really depending on the age and condition of the house, those things can really vary. So it is in in our model of like no surprises for study abroad, that would be something that you wouldn't want to be surprised by, for example, in the winter months. So definitely explore that. And Zach was saying, thanks, that clears that up. Wonderful. I'm just going to scroll through, make sure we haven't missed any questions. And again, we will absolutely continue this Ask Me Anything beyond housing issues as well once we finish with the housing portion. And Montana, I love this good advice that says avoid baseboard heating if you have to pay it separately and can help it. Love it. These are good. This is just good advice for things that we might not consider if you're not coming from an absolutely Four Seasons location. And I'm so grateful for the time that housing has taken. That kind of concludes our first hour of the Ask Me Anything. And are there any last questions that folks want to sneak in here before we stop the recording and let our housing friends go to lunch? And again, this is not our only opportunity to communicate with all of these lovely and insightful folks. So if you do end up with a burning question after they go off the call, or if you're enjoying this at another time and want to revisit some of these, absolutely please do reach out. And thanks again, Montana, for dropping the connection in the chat. It's residence@trentu.ca. You'll notice a trend in our email addresses. Wonderful. If there are no more questions, the Ask Me Anything will continue, but Montana, Nicole, and Aaliyah, thank you so much for joining us this noon hour and for starting off our Ask Me Anything for our study abroad students. We'll let you go, and we look forward to working with you over the next few months to get great housing for all of our students.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks so much. And also for everyone who is staying on the call, absolutely zero obligation to stick around, but we're going to continue the Ask Me Anything.